I think the biggest one is people skills as well, and just relationship building. I mean, yourself in business in general, it's just all about relationships and stuff with people. So I think that alone has been a big skill set that I've been able to develop over the years. And then also with the BA space, I suppose what's been good is like being able to build and sell businesses. You're always negotiating, and you're always inside a deal. So that's been really helpful with the BA space for sure for me.
Welcome to the Buyers Agent Institute show. The purpose of the show is to bring awareness to buyers agents, to bring awareness around the career opportunities that are available to people in real estate, to bring awareness around the value that buyers agents provide to people who need help buying property. Our goal with the show is to strip back and dive into the remarkable stories and journeys of buyers agents who are paving the way forward in one of the fastest growing career sectors in real estate in Australia right now. Our guest today is Damien Thompson. He is born in Melbourne. He's a passionate property investor. He's got a really cool background. He competed in bodybuilding at a very competitive level. He is a chef, or he was a chef. He built up a very significant profile in the hospitality space. He bought and sold over 15 businesses, and then he moved into a niche in Sydney, where he lives now, in the pizza space, and built up a really successful empire there. Damien's always had a really strong passion for property, so he's now joined Henderson Advocacy as a buyer's agent in the inner city, focusing on owner-occupiers, and has hit the ground running. We're going to hear about his most recent $8 million purchase. Today, I'd like to welcome Damien. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I thought, mate, we would just kick straight into it around this $8 million purchase, because I mean, for someone like you, who's obviously, you got a lot of business experience, knowledge, acumen, you've always had such a passion for property, and you've been in this space quite recently and just purchased an $8 million property. Like, how does that happen?
Mate, it was amazing. I mean, obviously we've got a client who's been looking for a property, and sort of got access to some off-market stuff, which is obviously very important, being a buyer's agent, what I'm learning. So had some access to off-market, and like I knew it ticked a lot of the boxes, so I sort of just ran it by him, and it ticked a lot of the boxes, and I was able to sort of get that deal in motion and get him through to have a look. And once he had a look, he loved it, and we were able to do the deal, which was awesome. Yeah. And
you said the word off-market. I mean, right now there's such little stock in Australia, hence why the market is, I think, booming so hard, apart from cash being so cheap to borrow. But are you seeing, like, are you looking for a lot of off markets? Like, is that something you're focusing on as a buyer's agent? Yeah,
absolutely, man. I know it's one of the big value adds, I suppose, we bring to people is getting access, and because we work so close with agents, getting access to off market is definitely something that we need to be doing, I feel, for our clients, and we're still seeing a lot of it. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you sign this, so I'm just curious about this $8 million purchase, because not typically do people just buy an $8 million property, and you were lucky to represent that client. Like, was that a quick turnaround? Like, from when you signed the client up to when you bought it, like, what was the time frame?
Yeah, actually probably one of the quickest we've had. So about a week it was. Yeah, so we're engaging the client to actually finding the property. It's about a week to get the deal done.
Were they pretty stoked?
Very stoked, absolutely. So they just sold one recently in Mosman, where they've done a similar project. It's sort of like a big sort of investment renovation project. So they just finished there. So they're on a little bit of a time strain in trying to get the next one done, because they had their settlement coming up to get into another one. And so they'll wrap to get it done in a week. They were just stoked. Yeah.
In the intro, I said you got a cool background. I think you do. I mean, everyone's got this like unique story they bring to any style of career, especially when they're more mature in their lives, like you. And I think professional bodybuilding, or competing in bodybuilding at a competitive level, chef. You bought and sold like 15 businesses within the hospo space. I mean, what have you taken from all that and brought into this?
You're always negotiating, and you're always inside a deal. So that's been really helpful with the BA space for sure for me.
Yeah, it's all about, I think, people like this real estate space. It hasn't gone so hard in technology where you're not having these conversations with people anymore. So, I mean, I'm assuming you're taking stuff like customer service, probably processes, systems, and just being able to like really apply that to this space, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's all about those processes and understanding, I suppose, the client journey or the customer journey. It's a little bit different in hospo, because it's more of a transaction where it's like direct sort of thing, and it's not so much sort of, I suppose, nurturing. So it's a little bit of a different transaction, but the fundamentals are still there. It's customer service. It's making sure that you're always outperforming for your client and your customer, and getting results.
How do you feel? Like, you've obviously been, super keen property investor, always looking at property, and obviously so busy with, your hospo stuff and just other business ventures. Like, how does it feel now just to be full time in the property space?
Mate, it's great. Like, it's always been a big passion. Like, it's, just to be able to commit to it 100% now, it's been a blessing in disguise. Yeah, it's been amazing.
And it's a bit different now, like scrolling real estate domain, looking at stuff, and you're actually now doing it full time, not in between, like, your other work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like anything, I suppose. If you can deep dive into it and immerse yourself, then you're going to learn it faster and get even better and better at it. So yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
Did you think you'd focus on the owner-occupied stuff, or did you think you'd move to investment, or you didn't know?
No, well, jumping over to the BA thing in general, I sort of really didn't sort of know the whole space just yet. So I suppose over the last 3 months, I've really just sort of starting to find my feet now, where I see, and just naturally I've been dealing with owner-occupiers, so I think it's gone that way. I have had a couple investment sort of people approach me as well, but I'm more just end up being more focused on that owner-occupier. Yeah. So it's just been a natural sort of, I suppose, progression into owner-occupier at the moment.
Yeah, and you've jumped into the market in like the full heat of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people who've been in this space for decades and decades haven't experienced such a hot seller's market. Like, what are you seeing in this market? Since you've jumped in, like, just from any lens, like, what are you seeing?
Seeing, look, a lot of buyers and a lot of frustration, to be honest. A lot of buyers in the market, but obviously being frustrated because things are getting bought so fast. So I think if you look at like stock in the market, like, essentially it's the same, but it's just a lot more buyers. So we're just finding that there's a lot of buyers being frustrated because they're missing out, which is great for us because we can help. Yeah.
Are they pretty at boiling point when they get on the phone to you? Or
Absolutely, and it's the common sort of stuff. It's that missing out at auction or seeing things getting bought before auction and they don't understand why, and they don't understand how they haven't had access to that, or how come they couldn't buy it and things like that. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Is it a hard conversation if they like come to you, for example, and they're like, hey, our budget's let's say 2 mil, and then we don't want to use you, then in a month's time they come back to you and you're like, well, you got to be at 2.2 now. Like, are those conversations hard to have?
They're not hard. I think it's reality. Like, it's just what's happening in the market. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, it's just being open and honest and transparent with them to let them know that. And we're having a lot of those conversations. People that have had to have, I suppose, conversations about realigning their budgets and their briefs, and just making sure that we're all on the same page, that the market is moving this fast, and we sometimes need to look at other options or ways that we can just get them in the market, on different things.
Have you found negotiation pretty transferable? Like, when you're negotiating businesses, and obviously with your previous career just in business, like, have you found it helpful?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I mean, I think those skills, because I've done so much negotiation during the process of building and selling the hospitality sort of game, then it's just naturally, I suppose, I'm natural inside that negotiation process now. Yeah.
And what about agents? Like, real estate agents, as I'm sure you're aware now, like, they play such an important role in what we do. Like, them representing seller, us representing buyer. Are you building good relationships with the agents?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some really good key agents. I mean, my area's been in the inner west, so I've been able to develop some really good, I suppose, agent relationships with some good people there. So yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. Again, it goes back to those relationships, and I've been managing to be able to get some really good ones. Yeah. Nice. So we do some content together every now and then, with a couple of key ones in the inner west and things, and just meet up and keep in touch on a weekly basis, just to chat about the market and where it's at, and that just helps, I think, build that relationship. Yeah.
Are you getting through a lot of, I mean, there's not a lot of stock, but do you get through a lot of properties each week, like whether it's pre-market, off-market?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for clients that we have on board. Obviously, we're always on the ground looking for new opportunities for them. So yeah, definitely getting through a lot. Yeah.
And what about like day to day? So obviously in your previous roles with your businesses, you've been, I'm not sure your day to day, what you were doing then. I'm sure managing staff and doing a lot of high level stuff, but like, how's your day change? Like, do you prefer like just cruising around in the car more, checking out properties, meeting clients? Like, do you prefer this style of lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, it's just going back to just being able to be full time on property. So that's just, if I can do that, then I'm happy. So yeah, for sure.
And did you think things would move so quick? Like, I mean, you've been in the game, less than 3 months, and you've snapped up an 8 mil, and you've done a few other deals. Like, did you think things would move so quick?
I think I have high expectations on myself, so I think I do expect to learn things fast, and I try and apply myself with as much effort to make sure that I am learning things fast. But I think it's been helped by obviously jumping on board with the Henderson guys and Jack, and that environment has helped for sure. And then also the market being so hot has made me have to learn, because there's just so much sort of business and people looking to buy. So it's all helped, but yeah, definitely I feel it's been fast. Yeah.
How do you keep up with like prices, in the sense of the market's changing so quickly? Like, it can change, could change today in terms of, crazy sale, and then that affects. Like, are you having to like just really speak to agents more than usual and just stay across? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like keeping in touch with those agents, and then, you know, if you're seeing things sell, obviously giving them a call and saying, hey, what happened there? How much did that sell for? And just keeping, I suppose, just keeping an eye on the market all the time. It's just helping to determine and know what's selling, and so the price point, you can always be across sort of what is going for what in what area.
Nice. And what's the energy like at the Henderson Group?
Mate, great. Yeah, really high level. It's awesome. Yeah.
Keeps you on your toes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jack is a high performer himself, so he's that environment that we're in is just, it's just awesome.
And what are the plans for you? Like, are you just obviously now focused on just nailing that owner rock market in inner west and just honing in? Like, what's the plans for you?
Yeah, that's it, man. I suppose just learning more and more each day, and just getting, you know, more across the owner occupier and learning more about the property and I suppose the areas that I'm covering, and just more agent relationships and all those sort of things, just to continue to build and grow, I suppose, in the space. Yep.
And like team building, I know you've just obviously started, but like, do you see yourself like building your own little, like your own business unit?
Absolutely. And we've already had sort of discussions with Jack about it as well, where it's just like, we'll get to a sort of stage where we can put some people sort of under me and that type of thing, and just build a bit of a team inside the Henderson Group, my own sort of personal team. Yeah, is what Jack does himself.
And what about like personally, like are you still keeping, obviously, bodybuilding? I'm sure you're still into fitness, but do you get time for yourself still, like with this new career?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. But I'm up quite early, so I think most of the training I do very early in the morning, so 5 a.m. and stuff. So 4:30, 5 a.m. I'll either run. I don't do the bodybuilding anymore. I'm more into sort of CrossFit and things like that at the moment. But yeah, man, always got to. I think that's very important to keep that aspect of your life inside it. Just keeps your head clear, keeps you fit, keeps you So absolutely, still fitting that stuff in.
Because sometimes it's hard, I think, like when you start a new career and there's a lot of change, it can break like patterns and just change routines. So that didn't happen to you at all?
No, I think it's because I've been training for so long, and I've been in that routine for so long. Training's always been a big part of my life. So I think no matter what changes, that has always been just one key area that I've kept. Do you know what I mean? So the rest of the stuff could change throughout the day or the career or whatever, but I've always managed to keep that part as sort of like, I suppose, like the starting point to every day.
I mean, it's hard work with what we do, but there's a lot of flexibility, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Like if you wanted to go, like, I'm sure you've got a stacked day today, but it's not like you can't go to the gym, for example, during the day if you wanted to.
Nah, correct, you can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I think it's like, again, it's just been cemented in a routine for me to do it in the morning. And over the time I suppose over my life, there's been times I've changed back to training at nights and things like that. But I just think it's just more of a morning thing, and just more of a kickstart to get that day going. Yeah.
And did you have expectations like of this industry outside of results for yourself? Like, since you've joined this sector, has it like lived up to your expectations of like how it would be?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even more so, to be honest. I didn't have high expectations. It was all about just getting in and learning the BA space, and it's probably as quick as I can. But then I suppose, it's definitely, if anything, it's probably gone over what I sort of expected, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've never worked in hospitality. I mean, I've done like when I was a waiter when I was younger, but I mean, it's like, I've always looked at hospitality and tried to analyze the business model and thought, like, I always feel like a shitload of time, like a lot of time, and the output's doesn't stack up to it. And I could be wrong, but I guess, have you noticed like a better return on your time coming into buyer's agent space versus hospo? Was that maybe?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think like it's what was very sort of, I suppose, one of the biggest sort of, I suppose, things that come out of it is just being time management, and being more like every hour of the day you could be doing something, whether it's prospecting or sourcing or whatever. And I think in hospo, when you're at sort of that senior level and you've got a lot of staff and you're controlling it, I didn't have that sort of, every hour was rigid. So that's definitely been one of the biggest, I suppose, how time efficient you have to be inside this game, which is a great thing, just learning that, So that's probably been the biggest one, yeah.
And you've set some big goals for yourself for this next, I guess, for FY coming in. Like, are you ready to give it a good nudge?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Are you concerned that maybe the market might slow down or change a bit?
Not really. I mean, obviously that's going to happen. It's a part of the cycle. But I suppose you just have to adapt as that comes along, and just be willing to sort of be open-minded on trying new things and ways to make sure you're still getting those results.
Yeah. Well, mate, been good chatting. I guess, like, it's always good seeing people like you who smash it in business, have, that passion for property, then just end up exiting there and then kind of getting into this seat and driving it. Where can people find you? I know you work at Henderson Advocacy, you're part of that group. Are you just Is that
Yeah, just on
the website?
socials, on Insta as well, Damien Thompson _ Henderson, and yeah, on the website, and just Damien Thompson on Facebook and most socials. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, if you're looking to get into the inner west in Sydney, that's where Damien focuses. He's focusing primarily with owner-occupiers, but even if you're an investor, he can still help you. So yeah, check it out. You can check Damien out on the links that you're seeing on the screen right now. And especially if you really want to get that inner west space, owner-occ, give Damo a call. See you next episode.